that entire scene with Kuros actually cutting off Doffy's head did not feel right. The entire atmosphere, drama, and just the way it was portrayed in the chapter just did not feel right, and I don't feel like this is the end of Doffy. Because Oda is a really good, amazing artist when it comes to dramatic deaths, and you would probably put more emphasis on this entire scene if this scene should be something we should really stare at. I mean, the entire way he drew it just did not feel right. It really reminded me of the scene with Crocodile. If anyone remembers back in the Whitebeard War, when we see Doffy cut off Crocodile's head, that's what the entire scene kind of reminded me of. Because the way it was drawn, the way you see Doffy's head falling onto the ground, it kind of reminded me like that. And I was thinking, like, there is no way in hell Doffy is going to die by this. I have a couple theories exactly how Doffy could be alive. I don't know if a lot of people realize this or not, but we know that Doffy has a string type power. He goes through the clouds and stuff. But what if his entire body is made out of strings? What if, like, each of his body parts, like if his head gets cut off, is actually connected to each other and he could actually pull his head back onto his shoulders? I mean, it would seem like it'd be possible since he has, you know, strings coming out of his fingertips. Most likely he has them in his body and he can pull his head back together. And you see his face expression change as his head comes off his shoulders. So I feel like this was meant to trick us, but at the same time maybe Oda is hinting at maybe Doffy is not really dead. I don't know. But let's just say Doffy is dead. This is a very anticlimactic way to kill him, so I'd be very disappointed if Doffy went down this easy. So let's look past that factor. That was really fucking epic, and I just felt like that was a really good scene. I was really shocked by it. So, this chapter really mainly focused on Sugar, you know, going unconscious, and Usopp winning. He gives the thumbs up, says, "Don't rely on me anymore, rely on my friends," which is badass. I really enjoyed that. And all the freaking dwarves think he's a hero, which, you know, makes me happy in the inside, because Usopp actually redeemed himself, and he actually managed to do something, even though it might have been accidental. But this is what Usopp really is. This is what his character is really about. So, we get to see all the people that have been transformed into toys finally come back into humans. We see people from government officials to pirates to freaking Navy soldiers in other countries. We see all sorts of people getting transformed back from toys into humans, and it was really interesting. We even get to see actual animals that were turned into toys, which I did not expect. That was a really shocking freaking thing about this chapter. But it's interesting enough is we find out the actual ability name to Sugar, Hobby Hobby. I don't actually know what that means in Japanese, I really don't, but it sounds like hobby. But whatever it is, I thought that was an interesting way to actually call her Devil Fruit Power. It has nothing to do with toys, so that's kind of weird. So, besides that, I felt like the entire way we get to see the pirates finally come back into their human forms, and we see how they're like, hell yes! You see them raising Cain, they're saying, Doffy's a traitor, he's a monster! You see the entire Dressrosa in a freaking uproar, and everybody knows what's going on now, and nobody can hide these factors. So, Doffy is fucked. He is literally fucked. That is all I could say from this chapter. I mean, there's nothing he can do, really. I mean, now the government officials, we have pirates, we got freaking ex-Dressrosa soldiers, everybody that's been turned toy into a human now, they're going to come after Doffy, his head. So I felt like, really, even if Doffy survives this entire ordeal and he pulls his head back together with a string, he is most likely going to have to flee from the country, and he's going to have to flee to Kaido. I mean, that's the only option he has at this moment, the way this entire chapter played out. Because, I mean, there's no way he can stay in Dressrosa now. I mean, King Ruku knows who Kuros is. Kuros just literally is there being a fucking boss, you know, cutting his head off out of nowhere. We have Law that's still there. We have freaking Luffy that's going to be coming in there. We got all these other pirates, big names and stuff, probably coming after Doffy. So Doffy really can't defend himself at this point in time. So this is really epic, and that's where this overall chapter, I think, tried to lead towards. Now, we see something that's really interesting. Senior Pink actually is a very good character. He really cares for his comrades, but we also see this from Doffy. I've had these exact emotions with certain of the characters in Doffy's crew, and him as a character also. He seems to actually care for his crew members, and actually really worry about them in certain instances. So I feel like this is a different character trait that, you know, Oda's trying to hint at, but Senior Pink actually caring about Sugar, and we get to see Pika actually probably going after Sugar also, was pretty interesting. I'm happy with this chapter. This chapter is really good. Definitely kept the quality of the actual drawings to a really great high like Oda usually does. It really progressed the plot in the right direction, and I'm starting to feel like this arc is getting closer and closer to its conclusion. But we have so many things going on right now that there's just so many different questions that are popping up. One of the most interesting factors about this chapter was Sabo's new move reveal, Dragon's Breath. Now, this entire factor, okay? The name of it is interesting enough because we know Monkey D. Dragon, and he named this move Dragon's Breath. Now, I don't know if it's because Sabo learned a type of fighting style from Dragon or not, but I felt like it was very interesting finding out how much he probably respects Luffy's father as a person, the way he's willing to call his techniques that. And the more I see him calling Dragon's Breath to freaking Dragon's Talon like he did a couple chapters back, I think he's worthy of the Mera fruit, and that it most likely if he was to add, you know, flame type abilities to his Dragon's Breath or Dragon's Talon, it would really be badass, and you would definitely probably remind me of Natsu from Fairy Tail. But either way, I love this chapter. Really good chapter. I loved it all around. I want to see this actually in anime form because I want to see exactly how freaking Kuros just cuts off Doffy's head, because that was just so quick, so unexpected. I'm very interested to find out what's going to happen next. So everybody, tell me your opinions on this chapter. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What was your favorite moments of this chapter? Did you think Doffy was going to get beheaded that easy? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Everybody, I love you so much. Chibi out.